Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 22 of Syncing with ServiceNow. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. Today, we're going to take a little bit of turn. We're going to change a little bit from what we normally do. We're going to talk about ServiceNow, but we're going to talk about one of ServiceNow's integration partners. In this case, the guys from Cloud Software Group, aka Citrix, and XenTegra is obviously a big Citrix shop for those of you guys that didn't know that. But we're a big Citrix shop. We use it for ourselves, we use it for our clients, and we integrate it with ServiceNow, and we're in the process of making that integration deeper. So we thought we would use this as an opportunity to kind of tell the world what you can do with ServiceNow and Citrix. And we're not going to tell you everything because we don't know everything. It's limitless is what I'm trying to say. So I've got my normal guests. Thanks for the Syncing with ServiceNow. I got Fred Reynolds on and Becky Whiten. Becky and Fred, how's it going?
Doing wonderful. How you doing today, Andy and team?
Great.
I got some feedback from the last one that we talked too much at the beginning of it, chit-chatting and cutting up and stuff. So we'll get straight on to it this time. But welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. We do have a big group, so 7 counting me. We got Geremy Meyers. Geremy and I do a lot of podcasts together. So on the straight up Citrix side, he and I just did one an hour or two ago. Geremy, welcome. And what excites you about talking about ServiceNow and Citrix integration?
I get super fired up around just integrations where we can automate things. And I know on the Citrix podcast, we talk a lot about how Citrix has, we've opened up our API so partners can integrate with us. But we've also, we're tapping into the integrations of other partners, right? So, the ServiceNow integration is pretty neat. And Charlie and I have been setting this up in our own lab, and we can kind of see what it does. And it's pretty exciting just being able to have workflows that kick off and go back and forth. So, I'm pretty thrilled about this integration here, so I'm happy to talk through this.
Sweet. And the APIs are there. It just takes smart people to tie them together with the ideas, and really the ideas is the big part of it. It's somewhat easy to do. Charlie Lopez, how's it going?
Pretty good, Andy. Excited
Charlie,
to be here.
what's your title over at Cloud Software Group?
It is a partner technology strategist today. It
Okay.
changed. Previously, it was sales engineer.
Okay. And are you somehow somewhat succinct or specific to the ServiceNow story, or it's just something you have a passion for?
It's something that we've dug into. We have customer conversations on it, so it's important for us to really be a understanding to how it integrates and how it functions and the benefits. So we just dove into it and essentially tried to make sure we were fully aware of all the capabilities that it brought.
Quick question for you. You say customers. Is it customers of all sizes, or just the biggest enterprises that are thinking like this at the moment?
I've seen a mix. It just really depends on those that are leveraging ServiceNow and have that Citrix benefit, and they find out about being able to integrate that. But it's a mix of both.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thanks for joining, and we look forward to hearing from you as well as Amir Trujillo.
Yep.
I promise I practiced, and I could get it right.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Trujillo. I'm a principal product specialist engineer for Citrix. I've been here for 4 years now, and before that, 15 years as a Citrix customer. So a little bit of flavor using Citrix, ServiceNow as an end user, as an Citrix administrator, and in the other side, showing customers the value of this ServiceNow integration with Citrix ITSM.
Did you get to do the ServiceNow Citrix integration while you were at a customer, or is it newer than that?
Actually, when I was a customer, I had the chance to start that integration, all that deployment of ServiceNow, with all the internal processes, all the conversations with the help desk team, just to optimize, the time that it's consumed with the end users to spend on the phone, and in the other hand, with the Citrix administration. So that mix of flavors, integrating from scratch, and in the other hand, with Citrix on a daily basis, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, let me do this. Let me start with this Cloud Software Group guys. I'm going to call you Citrix for the rest of this call because it'll make more sense to everybody listening and myself. But surely there's a lot more in Cloud Software Group integration with ServiceNow and ITSM than just the Citrix piece. But it's a big piece of what's possible. Let me start with you guys on the Citrix side. Geremy, you start, and then the other two guys chime in. Why is it important that partners like us start telling the Citrix and ServiceNow ITSM story, and what's this blog really telling us overall?
So, I think what's interesting is we have a lot of customers who own this, right? And we've got a lot of customers who own ServiceNow. They're leveraging ServiceNow. We'd argue that a lot of customers aren't really leveraging the power of both to its full capacity, right? So the idea is, XenTegra sees across the board, right? So they can see both halves of the equation. They can see where customers need to make these integration points. And as it turns out, it makes just workflows easier, right? So the idea that you can onboard folks easier, you can provision easier, you can turn off easier, you can make a lot of this that requires help desk calls. Heck, man, you can make it self-service for your end users. Why wouldn't you want to go turn this on?
Yeah.
So the whole point of this article is to talk through, hey, what are these integration points? Like, this is something that's been out for Amir, what, 3 or 4 years? Like,
Yep.
it's not new.
Mhm.
But I think customers are finally coming around to, a couple of different things. The cloud 4 years ago used to be something that we dabble with. Most folks are deploying from the cloud. They're using cloud services, right? So the idea is you own this stuff. Let's go turn it on.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
the idea.
So let me comment real quick on that. So I can't tell you how many people I asked, do you have your Citrix environment integrated with your ServiceNow environment? And they say yes. And when I start pushing forward, all I really get is they have it set up where you can open a help desk ticket about your Citrix environment through ServiceNow. And I'm like, wait a minute, if that's what you think it is, we got a big problem here. Charlie, why do you think it's important that we get the word out on this?
Well, a lot of what Geremy said, but there's a lot of goodness that they are putting into it. Even my own experience in going through it, and previously being from support and having a bit of that help desk mindset, being able to kind of see that there's a lot of self-service in there. You can really ease up time of what IT has to deal with, where users can go in and request applications, remove resources. It's really going to make things much more streamlined for users to be able to interact with IT without having to create tickets. But there's also the integrations between Teams and Slack now. So those companies that have those investments will be able to even leverage this even further.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going in here, especially even that workflows. That's further down, but it's definitely a great integration that's going to provide tons of benefits. It's just a matter of really letting customers know that it's there.
Yeah. Amir, your thoughts on this blog and what it tells us and why it matters that we cover it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of that the unified digital experience that customers are looking to have for the end user, and especially to make it easier and more productive time, because spending a lot of time with the help desk team on the phone, waiting for the first representative to be with you, it can take 30 to 45 minutes to resolve a session reset. Now, with all this type of integration, you can do it by yourself in less than a minute. Yeah. So it's a win-win situation. As an end user, I keep being productive, working on my stuff. On the other hand, from a company standpoint, it's a cost reduction, because you put all your help desk team working on different things that not only session resets, for example.
Yeah. So let me go over to the XenTegra ServiceNow experts, Becky and Fred. Guys, you guys integrate a lot of stuff into the ServiceNow world. Are you guys up to speed on what the possibility is and what the Citrix integrations, or is it kind of early on for you guys?
I'll start with it. Becky, you can follow me up. So one, I am familiar with it. And I also want to say what I heard so far is that this has been around for several years now, maybe 4 or 5 years of what I've heard, which means there's actually, certified apps on the store, which allows you just to absolutely download those and get plug and play moving quickly. So yes, I'm aware of it. And I also understand the efficiencies that can be gained by doing the integration, both from a self-service perspective and certainly the automation that can happen from an administration point of view for the customers themselves.
Yeah, Becky, have you had a chance to integrate something like Citrix with ITSM?
I haven't yet. So this is really good. I mean, I knew it was out there, but again, a lot of times, the customer's just focusing on getting the help desk up and doing the normal things that you would think about. And I think we've got to start, looking at some of these things and asking more of the questions to our customers, so we can really help guide them to some of these places and some of these things that are available out there on the store that could help help their help desk and get those call volumes down to help them. Just as you were mentioning previously about, it's a reset that could happen in, probably a minute or less because the workflow is there for it to do it versus someone to be on the phone or have to open up a ticket and then wait for someone to clear that session for them when it could be reset. I'm sure there's a lot more to it. And there's, as we talk here, I would be really curious to hear some of the good workflows as well that y'all are interested in as well. So we can help get the word out. That's just it, getting the word out. There's so many different areas and integrations within ServiceNow. And I think this is a good one.
So I would highlight
Haven't deployed it.
You just go out to the ServiceNow store and you can find the Citrix IT Service Management Connector. It's out there ready, waiting for you. Just, you can do it on your own, or you can work with a partner like us to get additional capabilities out of it. I'll do what, okay, so in the blog here, it called out 3 things. Experience intelligent automation of employees' self-service. I think Amir kind of mentioned that. And why do you want to sit online for 15 minutes waiting on that first response when you could probably solve it yourself if you had the right tools? Simplify the provisioning and deprovisioning. That's the one I hit with people all the time. Like, can you provision users and machines and deprovision users and machines? And like, well, no. Well, you can. It's like one of the most basic things you can do. And then the next thing here, access a centralized dashboard where you can monitor alerts and notifications and decide which incidents to follow up on. I'll add to that one, since this blog was posted, the world of artificial intelligence and specifically generative AI has happened. And once you have this stuff somewhere where you can get your hands around it, it just makes total sense what we can do next with the products integrated. And I'll add one other piece that Geremy said, what I really wanted the group to say, and all you guys said great things, but he said, you own the stuff, you might as well use the stuff. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I think I'm almost exactly what he said. You own the stuff, you might as well be using the stuff. Truth is, people own the stuff and they don't know how to use this stuff. And that's where this blog and this podcast and our subject matter expertise are going to kick in. Amir, I want
to add one comment that they have it, they should use it. I think the part is that people think it's way too complicated to do this type of integration. And if they just actually use some kind of connector like you showed as a starting point, then really the light bulb goes off and they start seeing a whole lot more opportunity, a whole lot more use cases to continue with it.
It's kind of like that car I've had for 3 years, and finally I see a button. I didn't really realize it was there the whole time, and I push it and realize what it does. I'm like, I could have been using that the whole time, you idiot.
Like traction control, keep your tire from burning out.
Kind of.
Yep.
All right, Amir, we'll come to you first. You're a subject matter expert. Access multiple Citrix cloud accounts from a single ServiceNow instance. What is that, and what does it mean to folks?
Okay, so basically we are going to be managing your Citrix environments, Citrix clouds on premises from a single pane of glass. This is the cloud dashboard console. So from there, you can integrate multiple instances. And from your Citrix cloud, you can have a on-prem, you can have a development and a production environment for there and apply those policies from ServiceNow to all of them at the same time.
So I was sitting here.
It's very simple.
And I first started thinking like managed service providers that might have more than one cloud instance that they're managed, which we do, and we will. But then when you said production and development, manage it from one pane of glass systematically, I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer. A lot of customers don't have those two, but they should. And if so, how do you make it easier to manage them too systematically? Well, here's your answer.
Yeah, because I've seen some customers that come with multiple ServiceNow sites, especially with acquisitions and integration between multiple companies. So it's just like, okay, just give me a solution to make my life easier. And that's where we just started adding those features from the Citrix ITSM standpoint. It's like help the administrators to automate on ServiceNow from the same place.
Yeah. Charlie, you got any real-world customer examples of this?
Not as of today, no. This is still something that I don't want to say fairly new, but something that we haven't seen any customers really deploy out just yet. Multiple sites, DAS sites within their ServiceNow instance.
But you do have customers that you believe have ServiceNow and multiple DAS sites. They just don't know they could do it this way. Fair?
I'm 100% sure they're not aware of this, which is the best part about this this podcast.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
the other thing, I think the other thing too, Andy, is, even though we're talking about DaaS tenants, I think Amir pointed out something pretty important is we could leverage this on-prem as well. So even if you've got the service, again, the service is a cloud-based and hosted service that interacts with a cloud-based and hosted service in ServiceNow, but you can do this with your on-prem sites as well. So you don't have to wait to have migrated, up to DaaS to be able to take advantage of this, which is pretty important.
And that's an important thing. You don't have to be 100% in DaaS or in cloud to use your ServiceNow on-prem. Just like do a site aggregation to your Citrix cloud dashboard, and you will be all set. So it's a whole some configuration in the background that requires expertise and SMEs like XenTegra and Citrix together to deploy that solution, but it works.
Yeah. Becky, Fred, any thoughts on the value of this?
I think it's just speaking more to the fact that you could scale, right? Multiple environments with a single instance, which is the power of it. And then when you have a single instance on the backside, it's a single tracking unified platform across different things. Maybe you're tracking financial stuff from this, right? It's just a single place to pull that together. So I think to me, it speaks more about how you scale because ServiceNow can connect to multiple, Citrix cloud environments.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll add, we did the security podcast this morning around Citrix, and I mentioned this then, I'll mention it again now. You got to get all this stuff in one place where you can see it and manage it, or you can't secure it. That's a no-brainer. Physical, virtual, on-prem, and the clouds, plural. You got to have somewhere to bring it together. All right, Amir, I'm going to get back to you for this one. New dashboard for monitoring events from Citrix ADM. Stands for Application Delivery Manager.
Delivery Manager. Yeah, that's correct. And that's not only that part. We're talking about another block. And this year we have added more features to the solution. We have monitoring and alerts for ADM, for Citrix Cloud and on-prem environments, all in the same dashboard. So the way it works, you can create policies that will alert you, either if you want to be notified by warnings, errors, or any just maintenance windows. And from there, create events or actions on ServiceNow. You can create an event ticket or an incident ticket. Yeah. So that's part of the flexibility that you have as an administrator, to have your eyes on a single place and not in all the different consoles, monitoring here and there. Oh, my service, how is it going? Okay, no worries. I got you from the ServiceNow console. What happens with my on-premises environment as well? So from different places, we put all together and generate all the automation from ServiceNow.
Yeah, if you're managing a Citrix environment, if you're running a Citrix environment, which could include lots of things, including ADM, virtual apps and desktops on-prem, Citrix Cloud, share file, other things, a part of the cloud software group, wouldn't it be awesome to have one place to go look and see what's going on? That's a no-brainer. Charlie, yet again, something that everybody should be doing. Do you see people realizing they could do it?
Well, the thing here is, finally aggregating all of this data within ServiceNow. So most likely not a lot of individuals were even aware of the amount of data we could put in, but throwing in the ADM gives full visibility now, not only on the on-prem Citrix cloud side, but also networking back within ServiceNow. So this is a great added benefit to the ServiceNow integration.
Yeah. Geremy, any additional comments?
Yeah. So knowing that this blog post is, what you said, a year old, there's actually been a couple of things that have been added. And I think the biggest one is now it integrates with status.cloud.com. So now, most folks, if they think there's some sort of issue with Citrix Cloud, they'll go out to status.cloud.com. Now we can pull that right into ServiceNow as well and create policies and alerts centered on that as well, which is, again, more to your point, bringing it all into one location. So you're not looking at 3 or 4 different locations for the health of your services. So it's pretty slick.
Yeah. Fred, Becky, any additional comments here?
I cut Becky off last time. If Becky doesn't, I have something. But Becky, I'll give you a chance to go first.
Yeah, I'll let you go this time.
Okay.
I want to talk on the workflow.
I want to piggyback off of what Geremy said, because that's honestly what I was thinking. The basis of it is people have started to learn how to get all the alarms from the multiple monitoring solutions or monitoring what they own into ServiceNow. That starts their event management process, how they really work from their responsiveness. In this case, I think depending on how you notify some of the users, right? It could be where if your Citrix is down or something's going on, this could be another way to notify, because ServiceNow has multiple ways that they notify. It could be text, mobile devices, broadcasting information. So I think to me, it's that. It also could be in ServiceNow, the way they tie services together, a business. Maybe this impacts a business or a service that's being provided. That's another level. It gets more advanced for some of the customers. But if they have that, they can keep stacking the complexity of the services they're providing to their customers, to their employees, to build this up to really be a lot more responsive. So all of this is very valuable. It could be used for business continuity, to be more responsive, to understand exactly where you have an issue and help resolve them quicker.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a starting point, but a starting point where it starts to event monitoring in there should be the baseline. Get started there. You'll start seeing value immediately.
Yeah. Becky, anything else?
Not on this one.
How about I add this? I mean, every company is responsible for, saying how long this application was up this past year, what 5 nines of uptime. You got to have something like this to bring it all together. We have one place to measure that systematic answer to, yes, the Citrix environment was up, 99.999% of the time last year. If you're doing it all disparately, how do you ever answer that question other than to take the vendor's word for it? All right. Sorry. Next one here. I know the team on my side is going to have some thoughts on this with the virtual agent. They love talking about virtual agent. Enhanced integration with the ServiceNow virtual agent. Amir, tell us what this one's all about.
That's an awesome feature that makes more a friendly interface with the end user. That's just a virtual agent that it's like an artificial intelligence that it's talking to you and asking you what you want to do. It's say, hi, what you want to do today? I want to deploy or request a virtual desktop or a virtual application. And in the background, what it does is to start looking at what resources are first available from a ServiceNow standpoint, and second, which ones are assigned to your user account. So you have that level of granularity from an administration standpoint. That's from a X percentage of my whole published resources, I just want this specific to be available by ServiceNow. So that's pretty impressive because we can manage what we bring access to even contractors, temporary users, or just a business unit, or in other use cases, just to have a better control of what resources have access to. So pretty simple to use, very friendly to the end user, and we'll have access directly to the ServiceNow out of the box and workflows and personalized workflows for the customer.
So Charlie, this one seems like a no-brainer. Everybody should have this implemented already. Same question, broken record, I'm sorry. Do enough people know this is happening and that they could be using it?
Well, I take the chat box in kind of two ways, because the fact is the portal provides one option for self-service. The chatbot provides a secondary option. I think this is a great feature because it just provides an additional option for that self-service. Should everybody be using it? It really depends on how quick you want to go in there and make your request. The chatbot is pretty quick, but again, some people want to click really quick, finish their request with ServiceNow, and your desktop is reset. So I think it's excellent from an additional option perspective. It's definitely something that provides additional value, especially with the addition of putting it into Teams and Slack and the additional integrations on those components.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's a great added benefit for building on the self-serve for ServiceNow and Citrix.
Yeah. So I got a question. This is probably more for Fred and Becky, but what's the typical modality for the virtual agent? So we use ServiceNow Citrix. I use the web page quite a bit, but I imagine this is super helpful on, like, say, a mobile device, something where I'm not pulling up a web page. It'd be much easier just to type in what I'm doing in an agent running on my phone, as opposed to maybe doing this from the website. Although when I do log in, I do get the virtual agent inside my instance from a web page, which is fantastic. But I imagine that doing this on the go makes it a lot easier.
I think it's twofold. I think from a employee side or a customer side, I think it's to be able to couple of quick questions, a couple of quick clicks, get the information you're looking for. Let it do the work to find it, give you that link to click on. Or some people just don't like to talk to someone. They don't want to call. They don't want to send an email. They just want to say, hey, I have this issue. Like reset the password should be this easy. I need to reset my password, a couple of prompts, you're done with it. On the flip side of that, from an IT, this is an IT director or a help desk dream, because sometimes they don't get enough information when someone just calls in or puts in a request through a ticket. They don't get the information they need. This chatbot can help prompt to get a little bit more information, exactly what they're looking for, and pull that out of that. So when they do get the ticket, have to work a ticket, they don't have to have that conversation that someone may not want to have because they pulled it out of using the chat. That's where I've seen the chat being most efficient, is when it actually does the work that a human would do, trying to ask the questions and present it. Either present it or gather the information, both sides.
And to add to that, and the virtual chat already knows who they are. So it knows who they are and what resources that might be already associated with them. So it already helps to do quite a few things as well. And then it'll also work within Teams. So you could be into there and then it could open up do a Teams call if need to be. So there's lots of different integration pieces to it as well.
So I literally just did this an hour ago. I had to buy, I didn't have to. I bought my lift ticket for this winter. I purchased them earlier because I'm cheap and I want to get it done. Also, it gives me an excuse to say I have to go. But nonetheless, I got one earlier and I had a question, and I asked the question to the chat bot, and the chat bot gave me kind of an answer, and it said, was that good enough? And I said no. And 10 seconds later, I was chatting with a real person who had my previous question and answered the question, and I was done in 30 seconds. It was awesome. I need that. I need that with my IT help desk, and we do somewhat have it, but we're evolving it, and that's just the future of this thing. Plus, analytics is going to make that even 2 or 3 steps further, more likely going to be resolved before a human has to touch it.
So one more point to what Geremy said. He said he opens up his web page or something, the bot appears. I mean, that's another thing. People are lazy in nature, in my opinion. So when they have an issue, they forget how they're supposed to go and ask or report or try to get help, right? Something that pops up and says, hey, how can I help you? That's just a quick starting point. Within a couple of questions, like I said, you should drill down to what you're looking for and start getting it solved, to your point, Andy.
Yeah. How can I help you, Geremy Meyers? They know who you are. They know the last 3 times you ask a question. It's extremely powerful.
I think Fred just called me lazy, by the way, just so we're all clear about this.
He called you human. Hey, I will say this though. I'm going to try to narrow down Jeremy's question, because I think this is what he was really asking. If I go to a website, yes, I'm willing to take my keyboard, my mouse, and look around a little bit, and then eventually give up and talk to the chatbot. But if I'm on my mobile phone, man, I'm going straight to the chatbot as quick as I can.
Yep. And one of the things that are not mentioned here on this blog is the ability to have full follow-up of your request on your mobile device with ServiceNow Mobile. So let's say you request on your mobile device, I need an application, I need a desktop, or just reset my session. I can go grab a coffee, do any other task that I'm doing, and then I'm going to get that notification on my cell phone. Hey, your environment is ready. So that part of automation, it's user experience. That's what I'm looking for as a user, because at the end, all of us are users. So that's what I want. Automation, just optimize my time. I don't want to waste a lot of time doing another stuff that could be handled by kind of automation, AI, or whatever it's in the background.
And Amir, that's the real benefit of having those actions and those requests from your Citrix environment tied back to ServiceNow, because that's what it's doing, is documenting it, keeping that record and track of what happened all the way through in that case or incident or request. Keeps it all documented.
It's almost like my IT experience can be as good as my Chick-fil-A order app experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's behind the Chick-fil-A app, but maybe that's what's behind it. But
you can get on my pleasure at the end.
It knows when I got out of my car and started walking through the parking lot. I know that much. All right. Next one, Amir, is Citrix ITSM. So IT Service Management tables, information in the developer document. Yeah, I have no idea what this is talking about. Help me out.
It's all about how ServiceNow administrators or developers can automate and create the personalized workflows. So we have few out-of-the-box features that it's just kind of plug and play from a Citrix integration standpoint, but that's not necessarily a stopper for the ServiceNow developers to create what are required for the customer needs. So we have full access to the APIs, to workflow, that we have that integration with ServiceNow workflow to build whatever you want. So that's part of the flexibility that we are adding on these new feature in these new versions of ITSM for Citrix.
And that's great. So it utilizes a lot what orchestration, but you have kind of these pre-built functions that you can utilize for Citrix to be able to kind of drag into the workflow and be able to connect to the Citrix or to something else and be able to do it based upon whatever type actions that are needed. So this is really good to see.
And I think it really speaks to the whole concept of ServiceNow no code and platform, and the flow designer was meant for someone to take a Citrix SME and give them a ServiceNow seat as a developer and let them build workflows and see what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Do not have to get in there and code to do it. They don't have to be a ServiceNow SME. They just have to know how to build this workflow to be efficient for what they want to do with Citrix. It's pretty powerful and quick.
Yeah.
In short, you own the stuff, like Geremy said. They've made it somewhat easy to do the basic stuff. It just happens. And then you have the ability to develop on your own X amount of integrations. And then when you need partner help, you give us a call.
Yep. And as far as I know, it's in the roadmap to have a graphic interface from the Citrix dashboard to create a workflow, ServiceNow workflows. So it's in the oven and it's coming soon. But yeah, definitely the whole potential from the service workflow creator and move to the Citrix side of the house as well.
So Charlie, you're talking to a lot of customers. Are you finding that they realize that this is possible and that it doesn't take a developer writing code to do it?
Well, for sure, they're not aware. But the whole point is that it does seem daunting going in there and having to figure out how to create these workflows or how to code it, depending on what kind of language is being leveraged. So being able to make it a little bit simpler in regards to dragging and dropping, similar to even some SQL programs, creating that logic by using some kind of blocks makes it easier and less daunting for newer IT admins to be able to deploy this kind of technology without feeling a little bit lack of confidence, if you will, right? If something's going to go wrong, if they're going to go in and code that. So I think this is a great first step in regards to adding a graphical interface or somewhat of a simplistic way of setting up these workflows.
Yeah. All right,
so one of the things that Amir pointed out is there is a workflow center that is coming to the cloud tenant as well. Now he did mention that maybe the cookies are still in the oven, they're still baking, it's a little gooey on the inside, but yeah, I think there's a tech preview, a private tech preview.
It's private tech preview. Yep.
Yep. So if you've got a customer that would like to have access, we can work with PM to get that turned on, and you can start playing around with it. But the other important thing is there are, I want to say 8 workflows out of the box, templates for it, without any insight into how any of this stuff works. You can get going from day one. If you want to go next level, I think that's where the workflow, center in ServiceNow, that's where it makes sense. And you can do some pretty crazy stuff. So, in this next section here, we talk about resetting sessions, or, I think one of the cool ones is deep provisioning, static desktops. Just think about desktops that might be sitting in the cloud that haven't been used in 30 days. What if you could automatically go reclaim them, and let's just deep provision, unassign these machines because heck, I'm trying to save a buck or two in the cloud. Let's not pay for desktops that aren't being used. So there's some pretty neat things that you can do in addition to what's, out of the box.
Right. Well, okay. So Amir, the 3 that are called out here that are built into the workflow, reset sessions by IT help desks from ServiceNow, deprovision static, so persistent desktops, assign users to Active Directory groups when processing tickets associated with requested desktops. So those are pretty common sense ones. Walk us through them real quick.
Yeah, basically reset sessions is just kill the session. Just reboot my session, probably my mouse, my keyboard, my printer is not working as usual. So the first thing is reset your session. And then we'll think about profile reset. That's another new feature that we have through this Citrix ITSM connector. Going to the provision static desktop, it's kind of a Citrix admin dream come true, because you can deprovision unuse virtual desktops based on a policy. You can say, if this desktop is not in use for X number of days, just remove it and make it available for other user that really wants it to. And it's cost management as well. So you're going to be able to say, I want to deprovision this desktop from this user that has not been using it for the last 30 days. Then what I want to do with this desktop, just power it off and destroy it, or leave it available for the next request. It's going to be power off, but at least I'm going to have the resource ready to use. So it's the two flavors that are most common on that feature. That's obviously an administration helper. And the other one that it's assigned users to an Active Directory, that's the integration that we have with Active Directory from ServiceNow. So you can add when you add a user to a desktop, when you publish it through ServiceNow, you have the option to say what you want to do. Add this user to a specific Active Directory group, or just publish the username on the delivery group itself.
Yeah. So
And-
that first one says reset sessions by IT help desk users. Do you see a day where the workflows just naturally integrate with self-service ones through the chatbot, or is that always going to be something that has to be designed?
It's out of the box. You can do it by through the virtual agent or through the portal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's easy to adopt by the end user.
Geremy, Charlie, any additional comments on these additional workflows? And I know there's more. This is very old, right? But
Yeah, there's a lot.
We're going to walk through the blogs as they came out and create the content here. But any additional thoughts on just these workflows, or maybe some of the other ones that have happened?
I'll just mention one. As I was tinkering with the new workflows, they do have some great templates in there. Not a ton just yet, but there's at least like 6 templates. And one that caught my attention was the terminated employee template, where it actually walks through all the different steps that are required to remove this user out of the system once he's terminated. You can really get granular in regards to how you can build this workflow. You can get a little lost in there if you don't know what you're doing, but there's so much in there that you can really customize. But yeah, I look forward to additional sessions, because this new workflow is going to be something that's going to empower customers to be able to automate quite a bit in regards to being able to identify certain actions that are going on and letting that workflow kick off all by itself.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm glad you brought that up, because we're seeing a lot of people really looking at more automated onboarding and offboarding and manage it. And this is a great thing. So it's funny they had a template for that, and onboarding should be the same thing. But so many companies, when the termination is so important, a lot of places to make sure people cut off access, it can be that quick. It's a system like ServiceNow can go across the landscape and the technology stack to see for that employee, what are they provisions for, and start to one by one disable those types of things. So I think that's great, Charlie. It's interesting that it had an offboarding termination versus an onboarding, because it could be one of the same workflow, just depending on which direction you're going.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've done some few demos with that specific feature, and it's just with a single click, you remove every access to Citrix resources.
Yeah.
And then you see okay, and you know how that separation works. It's like, now you're gone. With a simple click, boom. If you have a session open, it log off, destroys the virtual machine, or just keep it alive. But the user just loses access to all the resources from ServiceNow in a single click. So that's an amazing feature.
So guys, I think we've reached the end of this one. We're going to do 4 or 5 more of these and do a couple webinars. I am super appreciative of the cloud team, the Citrix team jumping on with us. There is years of stuff we can accomplish together, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
So Amir, Charlie, Geremy, thanks for doing that. Look forward to working with you more. Fred, Becky, any questions before we let these guys go? You're the voice of the listener at this moment. Anything else you want to ask?
No, I just think this has been very informative. I'm looking forward to doing some more of these integrations and getting more success with it, and taking the use cases and sharing them with other customers. I think everybody should integrate as much as possible, and especially when it comes to the ITSM, because there's lots of benefits from that. So especially on this side.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
The tagline for this
Agreed.
go-to-market is Jeremy's comment. You got it. You should be using it.
Yeah. and we need to as well in-house. So we're going to be working on that as well. So looking forward to that, and then looking forward to some of the new features that are coming out.
Well, and I will shed some light onto that. We are in the middle of doing these integrations ourselves, so now we know Amir and Charlie are resources we could reach out to as needed. But we're a partner that doesn't just talk about this stuff. We're doing these integrations ourselves, and we're going to be able to demonstrate this live for our customers as we continue to evolve what we're doing. Again, limitless and massive opportunity together.
And I'll be careful in future podcasts not to pick on Geremy. I think he got a little sensitive with me, but I'll make sure Charlie can maybe take it better. I'll go to Charlie next time. Sorry, Geremy.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time, and we'll do it again in a week. So thank you.
All right, take
All right,
care.
have a good
guys.
one.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.